It will ensure that you can get any class you ever want. Seriously, it will get you any class you ever want. Hello, beautiful people. I hope you're having a great day. And today on Reframed, we'll be discussing how to ensure that you always get the professor that you want and how to pick a professor. Let's get into it. So I want to talk about an experience I had my first semester of sophomore year, right? I was taking these two classes, or I had to take these two classes called Legal 2700 and then Public Speaking. I'm unsure of the course number for Public Speaking, but the Intro to Public Speaking, the basic one that a lot of people have to take. So I'm signing up for these classes, right? And I really wanted late sections. Why? Because I bartended at that time, I was bartending at night. And I wanted to be able to roll out of bed at 11, 12, and then go to class. So this is what I scheduled for, and this was how I did my schedule, solely based on this need, because I categorized this need higher than my academic need, right? So I have an 11:10 legal class, and I have a 12:40 public speaking class. I did no research on these professors, no rate my professor. No, didn't even read the syllabus before the first day. Didn't ask my friends, hey, what do you think about this class? And I walk into Legal 2700, and I'm pleasantly surprised. I have a wonderful teacher who who has great PowerPoint. She puts memes in them to make monotonous legal jargon somewhat interesting. She was very passionate about what she did. And during this class, I even did poorly on the first test, and I went to her office hours, and we fixed it, and she gave me a strategy on how to do better in her class, and I implemented that strategy, and I did better in her class. And she was awesome, but there was a difference between her class and other sections of Legal 2700, and in public speaking operated the same way at the University of Georgia. These are not standardized classes, meaning that if 6 different professors are teaching the same class, you're going to have 6 different outcomes. There's going to be 6 different syllabuses. There's going to be 6 different sets of tests. There's going to be 6 different grading rubrics. And what can this mean for your GPA, right? For myself in legal, this meant that my professor in particular, she wanted all 4 of her tests to count, right? One of my friend's sections, they only had 3 out of 4 of their tests count, meaning that my B minus, which is what I got at the end of that class, I got a B minus. It could have been a B plus if I had been in a different section, because the first test that I did very poorly on would have been dropped and would not have counted towards my NGPA, right? So that's something that you should really keep in mind when picking professors, and know that when things are not standardized, differences like this can happen, and these are things that you can capitalize on to increase your GPA over the average of your peers, and things that could also work against your favor if you're unaware of them, right? And then let's talk about public speaking. Why I shot myself in the foot with public speaking for a different reason, right? I was very lucky in legal that I liked my professor. She was awesome. Public speaking, I didn't like my professor very much, if I'm being honest. He was very purpose-driven guy, a lot of respect for the guy. And his syllabus read very cut and dry, and this should have been the first red flag. And then we get to class, and he, throughout the semester, he starts to make comments about how his public speaking class is better than all the other ones because he forces his students to learn this way and do all these things. It's not just some easy class you're going to come in and get an A. And while this is a great quality, yes, this is great, yes. We want professors to challenge us, because if we weren't challenged, we didn't learn anything. That I believe in that, I do. But how can you challenge us in a way that it doesn't require 40 hours of work for a 3-hour class, right? This is public speaking class. This is a general elective. This is not something that I'm going to major in. This is not something that I am looking to pursue as a career at the time. So I want to really get through this class with a cool professor, a professor that knows a lot about public speaking, someone that boosts my confidence, and I learn a little bit about storytelling, how to present myself, the basic things that I thought I was going to learn in public speaking, rather than a professor that was very strict, very hardcore, and this was something I would have known had I read his Rate My Professor, had I read his syllabus prior to class, had I asked some friends who have maybe had this guy. I didn't know anybody who had this guy, but I didn't ask, and I was asking while I was in the class, hey, do you know so and so? And none of my friends knew him, but I digress. So, what are some things that we can do to really ensure that we always, always, always get the professor that we want, right? We want to look at Rate My Professor. We want to ask our friends questions, then we want to look at the syllabus. There's two things in particular that I really, really, really look for in every single professor that I have. It is, one, does the professor love to profess? Do they love to teach? Are they there for the kids, right? And how can you tell this? Normally, I think the biggest indicator that's always, always there is, what are their office hours like? How many office hours do they have? Because this is time that they are dedicating outside of the classroom to be available for the students to come and learn from them, for the students to talk to them in a small personal setting, right? I think that there's a direct correlation between the amount of office hours a professor has and their willingness and their ability and their wanting to really help students become the best versions of themselves, right? So I always look for those professors that go the extra mile, because those professors make me want to go the extra mile in my learning and in my education, right? The second thing I always look for is, can the professor teach good? And what does that mean? How can you turn that into a tangible things that you look for, right? I want a professor that doesn't go on lengthy tangents. I want a professor that is dialed in on the subject. I want a professor that can make metaphors and relate things to their personal lives and their career experience about how things work. I want someone that is directed, someone that speaks very clearly, cleanly, so that I don't have to decode what they're saying and then decode what they're meaning. It's one level of decodation. I understand what they're saying, and I immediately can just start on the meaning of what they're saying rather than what they're saying itself. So those are two of the things that I always look for in Rate My Professor and in friends and reading the syllabus. And then I want to give you a hack. There's a application called Corsal. It will ensure that you can get any class you ever want. Seriously, it will get you any class you ever want, but you just have to use it correctly. So, what do I mean? Let's give you a hypothetical situation. Let's say you want to be an accountant, right? I'm an accounting professor. You want to be an accountant. Or I'm an accounting student, not a professor. I'm an accounting student. You want to be an accountant. And you really want to you're in this big open 2101 accounting. It's the first accounting you're ever going to have to take. 300 people in that class. And you really want this one professor because he's the best, right? He is the best professor and you want him. But his section is full. His section's full when you go to sign up in the registration. So you join the wait list, right? You're number 20th on the wait list because this guy's great. He's incredible. You're going to learn a whole lot from him. But you're 30th on the wait list. 30 kids aren't going to drop that class in between now and the start of the class, right? So at least at the University of Georgia, I'm speaking from my personal experience here. We have registration and then we have a wait list period, right? And then after the wait list period, there's add drop week. During add drop week, there's no wait list. The wait list disappears and it becomes one in, one out. If one person drops that class and it's no longer full, you can slide in and it's first come, first serve. Well, what's the issue here? We don't know when someone's going to drop this class. We've got no idea. So what does Corsal do? It will send you a notification when someone drops this class. And this is highly advantageous to you because it ensures almost without a shadow of a doubt, that you can get whatever class you want, right? Why? Because the chances of no one dropping a class of 300, hell, even a class of 40 during drop ad week is slim to none. I think that I'd love to see some data on this. I don't know how it would be found, but I'd be willing to bet there's not a single class at the University of Georgia that has no one ever drop it during drop ad week. I'd be willing to bet that. So all you have to do is get the notification and be the fastest. Be logged in on your phone on Safari on a tab you're not using. Go ahead and type it in, be logged in, and be ready. Turn the notifications on, make it a special tone if you can. Ensure that you see this notification and can act on this notification as fast as possible, right? And this was the first episode. I hope that you got some value from that. These are strategies that I've used to hone my professor picking skills and really ensure that I take my academic career and my academic future into my own hands and ensure that I have the best possible situation for myself. This has been the first episode of Reframed. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, follow, all that stuff. My the podcast social media will be in the description. My social media will be in the description. My producer's social media will be in the description if you want to follow us. And I hope that you have a beautiful day. Stay blessed. See you later.